to a 9 here. This is after the first heavy snow. If you can see in front of my tree stand here, there's tracks all through here. When I was coming into the spot, seen about 7 does driving on the way to the spot. I just heard 2 gunshots off to my right, and that was in the direction where those does were going. So 9 times out of 10, there's not 7 of them anymore. Let's just put it that way. But the big guy is who I'm after. I don't know where he's at. He might be up and moving. I got a camera on that tree there to see who walks through here. These tracks here are pretty fresh, and they're pretty big, and they leak out here back into these woods over here. So it's cold today. We're gonna get to about 30. So hopefully it all works out. But that's a good sign that there's a lot of deer moving through here. When I was walking in, one of the things that I noticed is the trail that I made to get to this spot, they've been using that trail. So I'm gonna have to be really careful walking in here now, because if they're on that trail, they're bedding by it. I'll kick them up and spook them out of here. So I'm gonna sit here for a while and see what I can come up with. So I'll be back in a while. So he came here and he stopped there and he trailed that doe. We'll go take a look where that knock is. It smells like doe pee over here. Oh, that's why, look. A doe peed right there. But let's go, it's stuck in that wood over here. Let's see if there's blood or anything. Because he came around here and he stopped right here. This is him. Right? Oh yeah, the arrow's bloody. Yeah, he's hit. Oh, yep. There's the blood trail start. Yeah, see? See here? And then you got all that blood all the way back through here. And then there's where he just probably figured out he was hit bad. Oh, there's a huge blood trail all through there. Oh my God. I'm gonna have to get reinforcements to come get it. Oh. Now this is the bad part. If he did not fall and he got across there, I don't know. I'm gonna go back up here. I gotta shut this off, guys. So I shot him here, and if you can see, I zoom in, the blood starts here, right there. Come around here, and he kind of stopped. He peed right there, and then he stopped, and I think he knew he was in trouble. You can see the blood here, all through here. And I think he was gonna go this way, but he ended up going here, if you can see, going up underneath that tree. Trying to walk the side of it. There's some more there. He runs back through here, and he hit this tree here. You can see it here. He hit that tree there. Right there. And I'm telling you, this is the trail, but the blood is all the way out here. So he's hit good. But now we're gonna run into the problem here. See, there's more there. And then there's big spurts here. Right through here. I mean, this is a pretty big deer too, so he's gonna be pumping. But it was a through, so he's got 2 holes in him. He's got blood here. And you can see how big his hoof is. That's his hoof. This is my hand. That's his hoof. Oh, it's a big deer. And then he comes back through here, and he's bleeding here, and it kind of dries up here, but he took a left, a little bit of a left through here. And then he goes back through here. There's more here. And then you can see his tracks here. And it kind of dries up, and then he starts leaking again through here. Right through here. Right back in here. And then he stumbled here. He tried to jump, and then he stumbled here. And then he tripped over this stuff because there's blood way down in there. So he's getting woozy at this point. It's gotta be. And look, the blood splatters way over here, and his trail's over here. So it's squirting all the way back through here. And then he rides it out here. There he is, and then he starts squirting here. Pretty good. I mean, look at it. It's all the way back. I have to walk it. But then he's squirting. Look, this whole area is filled with blood. I mean, blood's all the way over here. Like, this is his original path. There's his track. Blood is all the way over here. And he ducks in between these 2 trees here, because there's blood. This is blood here, right here. 209 here. Let's have a drink here real quick. Man. Good stuff. So everybody knows about my highs and lows, especially if you're an avid watcher of the channel. First and foremost, I want to thank all my subscribers. Even the people that just zip through and comment once in a while. I greatly do appreciate that stuff. All the positive thoughts and talkings. Even the constructive criticism, I take that into consideration. I want to thank Cindy for putting up with me for hunting. Usually when it's hunting season, it's all hands on deck. They've helped me pull some deer out in the past, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for Cindy's parents. They helped out again today. And Sean, the researcher, and his dad came up clutch for me today. I can't thank them guys enough. They came through really hardcore for me today. And last but not least is the landowner that allowed me to hunt on that property. That property had switched hands. And usually when properties switch hands and they go to a different person from the family, that's all she wrote. A lot of people understand that and have had that kind of problem where property switches hands and they won't let folks be on that property. So I'm grateful for the folks that let me hunt this property. So we all know about the big guy. Big guy. I'll throw him up here on the screen. Big guy. So I've been watching this deer all spring and summer. Up until the point of bow season, and I had contact with him the first time I went out, and never saw him again.
Caught him on the trail camera a bunch of times, but never saw him again. And today, boy, yesterday was bad. I had to cancel the show yesterday. I mean, even me and Sean the Researcher went to the old Rural King yesterday because I had to pick something up for the hunt at the end of this month. And man, I'm telling you, there's cars off in the ditches. Him coming to my house just to get here, he said there's just massive amounts of cars in ditches and hitting poles and everything. You name it, it was happening yesterday with all the snow and everything that went on. So, you know, it was pretty bad. So, and I sat out in that stuff, and I didn't see a single deer that whole day, even off and on, because I had a couple of errands to run in the middle of the day. Yesterday on Wednesday, today's Thursday, so it was pretty tough. And today it was cold, man. I'm telling you, I left the house. I think here it was 27. And, you know, I've been saying this a lot. You know, going to the hunting spot, it takes me a good 30 minutes to get there. And it takes me sometimes even longer to get to work because I got to go by that spot. So gas ain't cheap. So it's pretty evident that I need to fill tags. And the tags ain't getting any cheaper as we go on here in life. So I crawled in the tree stand today around 6:30. The last camera pull that I did, you know, these deer were showing up at like, you know, 8:30, 9 o'clock. But again, the weather wasn't as harsh as it was yesterday or today. So I was figuring they're either already in and out or they're not going to come until it kind of calms down. Sitting in the tree stand today, man, I had a branch fall by me. And, you know, they call them widowmakers for a reason. There's a lot of noise in the woods today with the wind and everything falling out of the trees. Some branches were falling. I hear some trees cracking around me. I'm keeping an eye on that stuff. Around 7 o'clock, I heard something, and I looked off to my left because on the trail camera, I've been seeing these deer come off of this other field. So I kind of positioned my tree stand to kind of, you know, tilt it to one side so I could, you know, easily get a shot when they come onto this property, you know. So I was really hoping that it was a deer. It wasn't. I think it was like maybe a chipmunk or something. He should have been in his house doing chipmunk things. But anyways, come about, you know, 7:30. You know, I was really like, man, it's getting cold. You know, it's getting cold out here. You know, I got toe warmers and hand warmers, and they ain't fitting the bill here. So around 7:50, I heard another crack off to the right of me. And, you know, the winds are south-southwest, so the winds are hitting me in the back, and they're pushing if I have scent out into this field. So anything coming downwind from there is going to probably go around me. But this doe came off the ridge, and I had the crossbow next to me. This Barnett, it's got 3 dots in it, and then you can do your yardage from these 3 dots. We had set that crossbow at, I don't know, 18 yards for the first dot. So you can amplify the how bright you want it, or you can dim it down. And I like to dim it down on days like this because the snow's kind of flurrying around, and it's overcast. So I like a little bit of a dimmer light. I don't like a real bright light because that's just me. I don't know how your setup is. So I can really watch the critter in the optic and put a decent shot. So if you can look at some of the video that I played before this one, you can see there's a lot of foot traffic through there. That's one of the great things about snow. You know, in the early part of the season, you're looking for rubs and you're looking for scrapes, or you're looking for scat, or you're looking for something that's really definitive, because there's no snow on the ground. Sometimes you can get lucky when you hear these animals come through there. They're, especially on a dry day, and we had 70, 80 degree days here just a week or so ago. It's 70, 80 degrees, so everything's pretty dried up. We even had, I guess you can call it a field fire just a mile or two down the road here. So it was really dry conditions. With the snow, you can see everything. You can see who's coming and who's going. You don't necessarily need a trail camera. You pretty much know where these deer are traveling through in their corridors, where they're hanging out, especially where they're bedding. If you go back to my really older videos, my hunting videos, you can see where all those deer were bedding down there on the back of that property. They were bedding all over the place. That was pretty much like a doe factory over there. That's where all the does and the yearlings and sometimes the button bucks and the spikes would all hang out in that area. So with the snow, you can really tell what's coming and going. In that spot where I put the tree stand, because I moved it, that was just a really good choice to move that tree stand for a number of reasons. And this corridor, it was just being used. Even off to the right of me, I looked, and there's some path going down that way that they have made, and you can see where they're going to the bathroom at. It's that definitive, because everything sticks out. When you have these kinds of conditions. So I look over to my right, and there's a doe coming down the hill. Well, I turn on this optic, and and I had the crossbow next to me, so I pick it up and I kind of turn a little bit, and this doe, I don't know, she's 8 yards from me. And again, my whole goal this year was to shoot quality deer. That doe I shot weighed 120 pounds. That's a good sized doe for my area, for the most part. I mean, there's bigger ones out there if you can get lucky, but those nanny does are pretty smart. So this is a younger deer, and I looked at her and I put it on her, and I watched her walk into that pathway, and she kind of stopped off to the left, and I heard a grunt, and I looked over. Wide deer coming right over that hill, nose to the ground. And for the young hunters out there, pay attention to those does, especially when they're that close. They will give you up in a heartbeat. Another move slowly in your stand. I did. So I kind of just turned, and boom, I'm waiting for him to come into this spot. He goes into the same spot she went to. She kind of peels off. She knows the deal here. She knows it's not right. I don't know if she caught me in the movement, but again, my tree stand kind of cricketly crackling. It's really cold out, and I watched him, and he kind of got spooked, and he come around this tree. So he come around this tree, and the tree's in front of his face here, and he's broadside, almost kind of quartering, not a ton. And here's another lesson for you young hunters out there, or just if you just happen to come across this video. So I'm leaning out of the tree stand at this point, because he's starting to go on a path where I don't want him to go, because I won't ever have a shot at him, because I didn't clear those branches where he's going, because I just set that tree stand up there, and I'm leaning out of there, and I pull on the trigger, because he's broadside. There's no thump. Take it off safety. Don't get too rattled like I was. So I flick it off safety. I put the dot right back on him, pull the trigger, and I heard the smack. And I watched him run. In that area, I will say this, farms change hands, and sometimes the generation coming up doesn't want to deal with these farms anymore. They don't want to be farmers. They'd rather sell this land off to be developed, they'll drop a subdivision in there. They'll put a new highway in there. It's just the times we live in. You know, the older days, unfortunately, have kind of gone past the wayside. Hopefully they kind of recover some way or another. But right now, you know, there's a lot of people that don't accept hunting. They don't live this lifestyle. They don't quite care about this lifestyle, and they have other goals in mind. So we'll just put it that way. So in that area, that's some of the mentality in that area, not all of it. But, you know, when I hit him and he took off, I seen the knock, and it was stuck at the bottom of this tree. So it passed through him. So I'm like, man, I think I hit him a little bit further back. You know, I'm like, man, I hope it's not a gut shot. I'm like, but it, you know, he kicked up a little bit, and he took off. So I watched him run the length of these woods, and I'm like, please don't go out in that field. Please don't. And I'm saying it in my tree stand. Well, he runs the length of that field. He takes a left, and he goes out there. You know what I'm saying? And he hooks an immediate right. There's some people out there, you know, if he goes into these property, I'm not going to get that deer. They're not going to let me on that property, and they're going to take it. And that's just the name of the game. And the whole time he was running, I'm like, please fall, please fall, please fall. And, you know, I'm saying it louder and louder and louder. I don't know if there's any more deer in the area. I'm just watching this guy, and he hooks right. And I'm like, no. And as soon as he hooks right, that doe had peeled off and gotten to that field before him. And she ended up running after him. She ran right after him. You know what I'm saying? When he took a right, I could see her coming off, you know, the far end of this field, and she went and followed the path that he was on. So, I mean, she was playing hard to get it at first, but then she didn't want him to go away. But he sure did in a hurry. So he goes up there, man, and I call Cindy, and she's like, calm down. Because I'm just saying, I shot the big guy. I put his picture of it. I was like, I know that had to have been him. He was wide. I'm like, he's wide. I'm like, it had to have been him. So, you know, we go through the process, you know, and I get out of the tree stand talking to Cindy. I go back to the truck. I drop my stuff off. I get a couple more phone calls from some people, and Cindy's brother had called me, and he's like, dude, you gotta let, if you're not really sure if you hit him in the bread basket, you're gonna have to let that deer just, you know, expire. You know, don't go chasing him, don't go bumping him, because then you'll really not find him. And I told him, I'm like, man, he went towards this direction, and it is what it is, man. And I'm like, I know. And at that point, dude, I kind of, you know, it kind of like sunk into me, like, I may not get this deer. This might, you know, all this work built up before deer season up until this point. That's what you're living for. You're living for that kind of energy. And you know, so it's 8:30, and you know, he tells me, you know, don't go track that deer until 8:30. So I get on the phone with Cindy. I'm like, just come here. We'll track this deer as far as we can go, because at one point he's going to be off the property, and I'm not allowed to be on that other property. So, you know, she's like, well, I'll just tell me where you're going to be at. She's, you know, again, she's got a 27, maybe a 35-minute drive to get to me. I'm like, well, I'm going to go back there. I'm going to track him. I'm like, he's not going to be in the area where the shot was. So he's going to be gone. So I walk back there. I retrace my steps. And lo and behold, man, the arrow's clean with blood. You know, it was a pass-through. 5 steps, you can see that video, man. I mean, he was leaking everywhere. He was hitting trees, everything, man. He was leaking pretty good. I got to the section of the woods, man, where I couldn't go no further. You know, it's the end of the road. So I ended up having to back out, and I knew the direction he went to. So Cindy comes in, you know, we go to where he's at, where I know he crossed, and he crossed this road. And I get out and I look, and I kind of look on the side of the road there, and I see blood. I see blood coming out of these other set of woods. And I'm telling you right now, this deer ran like 500-600 yards. That's how far this dude ran. And I tracked him, and he goes into these other people's yard. And I can see the blood trail right through their yard. So we're knocking on doors, we're asking people who owns this property, so on and so forth. And the people where the deer was on, they weren't home. So I'm like, oh my God. So, I'm trying to contact the DNR. The sheriffs aren't going to do anything. The DNR says they're going to have permission from the people that own the property to go on there to get my deer. So I'm freaking out. And I'm like, I got to find him. I got to find him. And back off on their property, there's a tree. And underneath that tree, it looked like that deer had laid down. But that was a road. So he probably got spooked by the car and took off even further. So there's like a little indent under that tree where you could see the blood trail through there. Snow's great for that reason. And you can see that he probably got up and took off. So, we're talking to these neighbors. We're talking to these other people. And finally, Cindy pulls in the driveway. And I'm like, we knock on their door. Nobody answers. Lo and behold, one of the relatives that knows the people that live in this house are like, what's going on here? And I'm like, look, I got to recover my deer. So go get the deer. And then we bring it back. He's like, we'll talk to him. We'll tell him the dealio of what's going on. And at this point, I didn't give a good look at him. We shared some pictures. The people around the corner, they shot a monster a couple days ago, before this weather really took hold. And I'm telling you, that was a big deer. This guy, I'm like, man, I wish I would have saw him today, but it is what it is. I got to take what's given to me, right? So he even helps us load it in the truck. And, I shake his hand. Again, I apologize for being on the driveway in the first place. I'm telling him, if he would have went to this other property, they don't like the lifestyle. And he's like, yeah, I know. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm like, yeah. I'm so grateful that, you stopped, you talked to me. I was able to explain my situation, so on and so forth. So I go, I take the truck home, stop and get some gas, and thank you, Joe Biden. And so I get home, and I'm really looking at this deer and comparing pictures with the big guy. Man, I'm going to tell you right now, it wasn't him. The place that I'm hunting, it's not a ranch. It's not a gated area. I don't have a feeder. I'm not baiting. These deer travel miles, especially the bucks, miles to find food, water, and girlfriends. They'll travel up to like 2 miles. From what I've researched and what I've heard other researchers talk about on the internet, these deer will travel a long way to find those combinations and cover, where they want to sleep. And, further investigation, I've never seen this deer in my life. Never seen him in my life. I went through all my camera pictures. The basket 8 that I almost shot, it wasn't him. And I'll throw a picture of him up here. And then we kind of compared the pictures that I'm talking about the big guy, and then him. He was wide, just wasn't as wide. And the big guy's got a couple more tines than this guy does. There's a spot down below me, man. A smidgen of disappointment. Just a smidgen. Not much. But been great to see him. I thought I got him, but it just was a totally different deer. Totally different deer. The more and more I looked at him, more and more I compared pictures and got the side shots, and I'm like, nah, this isn't him. Like, this is a totally different dude that comes through there. His nose was to the ground. He had one thing on his mind. She was playing coy with him. But I'm grateful for him. It's a good looking deer. It's a quality deer, in my opinion, for the area that I hunt. Some of these other deer, man, they got big antlers for a reason. It's because they're not dumb. When they get in this time of the year, the rut, Like we're getting in the middle of the rut, man. Whether the lockdown takes hold, where these deer won't travel as much because they've got does to breed. You know, it, it'll start showing itself. I've been in it. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of deer on the last place that I used to live. Tons of deer. I mean, more deer than you can shake a stick at. And then for 4 or 5 days, you'll never see them. Not out in this area where they go, not out in this area, not in the front yard, nowhere. They're nowhere to be seen. And then all of a sudden they start showing back up after a while. And that's because they've probably already, some of the does have already been bred. These guys are going to look for some new action in the area. So it's gratifying. And again, I'm really grateful for having the opportunity to do this stuff. And if you ever do it, you'll start feeling the way I feel at this point. I'm saying right now, but you'll also feel the frustrations. What I see about the younger generation is, they don't quite accept disappointment, and they don't accept failure. And I'm going to tell you, man, for as long as I've lived, which is not much to most, I've failed an awful lot in my life. But I've learned from those failures. Sometimes only to make new failures. But I've always learned from the failures and mistakes that I've made in life. And that's what I've instilled in my kids to do. Hopefully, that'll catch on as they start their families. To accept failure. It's a part of life, and it's going to happen. Not everything's going to be hunky-dory. And my hunting seasons haven't been hunky-dory. To the point where, I was losing hundreds of dollars because of theft, and could have lost my life because the guy cut the strap on my tree stand. Like, there's a lot of things that could have went wrong but didn't, because I learned from other hunters, from Cindy's brother, people that I've talked at the gun counter, so on and so forth. So don't get too discouraged. Again, sometimes I get harder on myself. I'm depending on these animals to fill my freezer. If you haven't seen the prices in stores lately, you'll start to understand. I don't make a ton of money. We're not really wealthy. I mean, look at my channel. I'm not showing you, $8,000 guns. I'm showing you stuff that I use that works. I'm showing you techniques of deer hunting that may work for you. They may not. I'm experimenting with others that some people said that work, and I want to see results if they're gonna do this stuff. So it was a great day today. I was successful. I owe a lot of people for my success, and I'll never take stuff for granted. Over the course of my life, I have. And I tell others not to take stuff for granted, because you don't know how long we're going to be here, and you don't know how long you'll be able to do this stuff. Today was a great example when I got the deer home that I'm going to need some help here, getting longer in the tooth, so to speak. That's where my gratification comes in for Sean the researcher and his dad. They really came through and pulled through for me today and helped me hang that deer. Unfortunately, all the processing places are closed. I'm going to have to process this bad boy myself. So it's going to take a couple of time to get him broken down and ready to go. We did cape him. We caped him correctly. So he'll be mounted on the wall, and I'll show you probably a year or so from now what he turned out to be, other than the pictures. And we'll take a peek at him. This is a guy that I'm proud of. Even though I've never seen this deer in my life. Pretty proud, and I'm super extra special for the people out in that community that allowed me to recover the deer. It'll get dicey out there sometimes. So it was pretty cool. Great experience. Another close one, man. But I'll take them. I'll take them how I can get them, just like I do my deer. But I shot a couple quality deer this year that are going to fill the freezer. We won't have to, tame the masses at the grocery stores that often. Just for the old odds and ends. But it's a good feeling when you get this stuff done. I encourage you, don't beat yourself up. Hunt hard, hunt smart, hunt safe. That's pretty much what I got for this video. Again, I want to thank everybody, my old subscribers, and just the people that zip through. I greatly do appreciate it. And always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for everybody else that you watch on this platform, just not myself. One quick thing before we go. I've been behind on Patreon because I've been hunting hard. I've been spending a lot of time in the stand here the last, month or so. And I understand I'm behind on Patreon. Please give me time. I have the stuff here. I might have to reopen it, repackage your stuff, because I'm going to be behind on November. It's just going to be that way. I know the holidays are coming up. I really would like to get the stuff out before the holidays and all that jazz, so you can enjoy your stuff that you deserve. For the folks that left, Patreon's getting kind of thin here. It just is. And I encourage everybody to do what you have to do. We're going to be here whether people, donate to us or not. As long as we, skirt the beings and the ivory tower of YouTube, we're going to be here. It'll get hard, but we're going to be here. We're going to be flicking videos on for you guys to watch and enjoy and to criticize, and do the things that we've always done on this channel. But you guys have to do what you have to do for your family and yours. And that's something that I definitely understand. And I ain't mad at you guys. Some of the people that don't do Patreon anymore, you're still coming into the live chats. You're still being part of the conversation. And you're still being part of what we do here. And we're still communicating with each other, whether it be the cool things we like to do in life, like this video, or our Second Amendment rights. And we're really paying attention about that stuff, especially with the recent election. So, again, I want to thank all you guys that are over there on Patreon. I'm going to get your stuff out as quick as possible. I don't think I'm going to go hunt tomorrow. Cindy's going off and doing something that she likes to do. So I'm going to have a little bit of time to get some more stuff together. Again, I might open this stuff up and then put some extras in there for you guys, for your patience, for your courtesy to come on here and be a part of this channel. I greatly do appreciate it. With all that being said, like always, guys, we're going to catch you on the next one.